This pharaoh was unlike the warlike Ramesses the Great. He was also following on from his forebears who had established a great civilization. And in this particular pharaoh, Senefer, his life was pretty relaxed. Egypt was prosperous. Oh, I'm going to have to stop using that word. Free from invasion, safe. The officials ran the country beautifully. He had very little to do, except to turn up at various festivals and do the stuff that he's supposed to do, for he is the divine Horus on earth. Now, he often found himself bored. As I said, everything ran without him. He just had to show up. So he would often prowl around the palace looking for some entertainment of something, either to cause some merriment with, well, I wouldn't say merriment for him when he's upsetting servants and disrupting and annoying people. But, it's an exhausting day just trying to fill your time with nothing going on. Pretty much like it is now, probably in lockdown for a lot of people. So, he was really running out of his ideas. This one particular day, he'd gone to all his usual places, found all his usual people who thought he could find some entertainment from, and drew a blank. So finally, he thought, I know. My chief magician will be able to entertain me. So he called to him, Diadem. Now, obviously, this magician, he's usually quite a high-ranking courtier. A very busy man, doing all the stuff for Pharaoh that he isn't doing himself. So he was a little bit put out that he was being dragged away from some important work to try and entertain Pharaoh. But, he a loyal servant of the Pharaoh, he had to obey. Now, standing before Pharaoh, impatient, tapping his foot, wanting to be on, Pharaoh demanded something entertaining. And Diadem racked his mind. What can I think of to do? I know. Why don't you take the royal barge out onto the lake? And Pharaoh said, nah, I've done that before. It's not that interesting. Ah, but what if I provided you with some interesting diversions? Like what? What if I found all of the most beautiful courtiers to row the barge for you? Would that please you? Okay, yeah, right. If I emptied the treasury and supplied them with beautiful jewels and the finest clothes that we can find within the palace, would that entertain you? Okay, yeah, right. I shall go and see to it right now. And he did. Not long, because no one keeps the Pharaoh waiting, the barge set sail upon the lake beside the palace. Quite a nice large lake. It would take a while, and a beautiful, as usual, clear, hot day. Pharaoh was sat upon the barge, lounging there, under a nice canopy, of course, observing all these beautiful women rowing. It didn't take him long to realise something was wrong. They were courtiers. They were not really used to such heavy, hard work. This is a large barge. And, there's still 20 of them and they're still struggling. And they've never rowed before. He tried to keep serene about it and just enjoy himself, but this was starting to become a bit of a problem. They were clashing the oars together and a little bit of bickering was going on about who was supposed to be doing what, and he was beginning to feel not quite as relaxed as he should be. And then there was a judder behind him, and then tears and screaming and what now? With a fluster, he got off from his throne and stalked off to the rear of the stern of the boat, the barge, to find two of the oarswomen, one in absolute tears, screaming and pointing at the water, and a friend there consoling her and failing miserably. Well, Pharaoh had had enough. The whole sereneness and beauty of this had been just marred. What is it with what's this problem? Can you not return to the rowing in the oar and where we're supposed to be going? I'm supposed to be calming down. And her friend said she dropped the beautiful diadem into the water that you'd given her from your treasury. Well, I'll give her another one. You know, I've got lots of jewels. But the distraught oarswoman, just about able to communicate. No, she wanted that one that had fallen in the water. It was beautiful. It would not be the same. Well, he couldn't calm her down at all, and no one could. So, with a huff, he thought, I'm not doing this. This is someone else's problem now. So he called to one of his servants, go find my magician. He can sort this out. This is his. He created this. He can solve it. Well, the magician eventually arrived on the barge, even more flustered and annoyed that he'd been dragged away from doing more important things than keeping the Pharaoh entertained, to find and try to make some sense of what's been going on. But his smile crossed his lips. He said to Pharaoh, perhaps I may have failed here, but I can show you something that will certainly entertain you and astound you. Pharaoh he wasn't sure what to believe now, because, well, the day's been a disaster. What else can this happen? But, you know, he had to get entertainment from where he could. So, he said, oh well, just do it. So, Daja, my uncle, took the opportunity of the performance of a magician. He was going to do a show that no one had seen before. He walked along the side of the barge, and a hush formed. He raised his arms to the sky and started an incantation. Shortly, the water of the lake began to shake, began to stir. The barge began to bob a little, not too much, but there was a little bit of fear, and obviously some of those oarswomen who'd never really been on a barge before lost the oars into the water. But hey, everybody was a little bit more concerned about what the magician was up to. And they saw very shortly a huge block of water began to rise up from the surface of the water. 20 cubits high. It went sheer face up into the sky, way above the barge. It then pushed back to reveal a huge cube of empty space, of where there was no water, and walls of water on all the other sides, revealing a dry bed of the lake. There was not a sound, except from the oarswoman, who screamed in total delight because she saw on the bed of the lake the diadem that she had dropped. with some more incantation, the barge slid down the side of the sheer face of water to land lightly on the river bed, on the lake bed. That was good enough for the oarswoman to jump over the side and run to pick up the jewel, and run back, a face absolutely delighted. Oh, she was just thrilled. And the look, the Pharaoh was, no, he was certainly had never seen anything like this before. The magician had not failed to notice the complete awe around from everybody around him. But it wasn't over yet. Once she was safely aboard, some incantation and the barge lifted back up to the side onto the surface of the water, and as a true magician with the full theatrics, turned to face everybody, and a wave of the arm and the water came crashing down to fill the void, rocking the boat. People were a little concerned, but they were still utterly shocked and awe of what this had just occurred in front of their eyes. The feeling, the atmosphere on the barge was altogether different. And Pharaoh, shocked still by what he had witnessed, sat upon his throne, and the oarswomen continued and resumed their rowing, but all with a new thought, a new enthusiasm and wonder at what they had witnessed, and happiness was definitely restored. That was called the Diadem.